Today, I am announcing that the Government of Canada, following a dollar-for-dollar approach, will be imposing, as of 12:01 a.m. tomorrow, March 13, 2025, 25% reciprocal tariffs on an additional $29.8 billion of imports from the United States. This includes steel products worth $12.6 billion and aluminum products worth $3 billion, as well as additional imported U.S. goods worth $14.2 billion for a total of $29.8 billion. The list of additional products affected by counter tariffs includes computers, sports equipment, and cast iron products as examples. These tariffs are in addition to Canada's 25% counter tariffs on $30 billion of imports from the United States in response to U.S. tariffs put in place on March 4th.
Il y a eu beaucoup de bruit avec l'intervention notamment de Doug Ford dans le dossier. On se retrouve.
The only constant in this unjustified and unjustifiable trade war seems to be President Trump's talks of annexing our country through economic coercion. Yesterday, he called our border a fictional line and repeated his disrespectful 51st state rhetoric. Well, Canadians have made it very clear that we will not back down and we will not give in to this coercion.
I'll direct this to Minister LeBlanc because it's still about the...
Canada is not the one driving up the cost of your groceries or of your gasoline or any of your construction. Canada is not the one putting your jobs at risk. Canada is not the one that is ultimately starting this war. President Trump's tariffs against you are causing that. And there are no winners in a trade war.
Olive branch from Howard Lutnick, but at the same time, President Trump says he wants to.
To my European colleagues, we will work together to put pressure to end these tariffs against you too.
So how do you trust the U.S. administration going into tomorrow's?
I'm heading to the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting in Charlevoix, Quebec. I'll be meeting with Secretary Rubio. I will also be meeting with my European and British counterparts. In every single meeting, I will raise the issue of tariffs to coordinate our response with the Europeans and to put pressure on the Americans.
Should we be reading anything, especially trying to build better relations with the European?
We're hitting back against these unjustified U.S. tariffs. We're not alone in doing that, as Minister Joly said. The European Union has reacted. Our friends and allies in Japan have reacted. The world is reacting against these unjustified tariffs. But let me be clear. This is not something that we want to do. This is not something that we like to do. But it's something that unfortunately we are being forced to do in order to protect our way of living in this country and to protect North America.
Can you coordinate with any other U.S. allies?
Social media erupting with calls to buy Canadian and boycott USA.
It's on. I am shopping anything but USA.
American exports at grocery stores shunned. Some provinces banning the sale of U.S.-made alcohol. Vacations to the U.S. are being put on hold too. The number of Canadians driving across the border dropped by 23% last month. Air travel down more than 2%. The U.S. Travel Association has warned just a 10% drop in Canadian visitors could mean more than $2 billion in losses. Canadian companies like this metal processor hit hard.
If you had a message for President Trump, what would it be?
Why are you doing that?
We didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
Good morning. The trade relations between the European Union and the United States are the biggest in the world. They have brought prosperity and security to millions of people and trade has created millions of good jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. As of this morning, the United States is applying a 25% tariff on imports of steel and aluminum. We deeply regret this measure. Tariffs are taxes. They are bad for business and worse for consumers. They are disrupting supply chains. They bring uncertainty for the economy. Jobs are at stake, prices up. Nobody needs that on both sides, neither in the European Union nor in the United States. The European Union must act to protect consumers and business. The countermeasures we take today are strong but proportionate. As the United States are applying tariffs worth $28 billion, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros. This matches the economic scope of the tariffs of the United States. Our countermeasures will be introduced in 2 steps, starting with April 1st and fully in place as of April 13th. In the meantime, we will always remain open to negotiations. We firmly believe that in a world fraught with geo-economic and political uncertainties, it is not in our common interest to burden our economies with such tariffs. We are ready to engage in a meaningful dialogue. I have entrusted Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič to resume his talks to explore better solutions with the United States.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Let me also start by echoing the sentiment of deep regret. Today's tariffs from the United States take us in a wrong direction, and the reason is manifold. The EU-US trade partnership is well-balanced and highly profitable for both sides. It's the biggest trade relationship in the world. On steel and aluminium particularly, we share some of the challenges, for instance, global overcapacities driven by non-market practices, and the EU here is clearly part of the solution, not the problem. Last month, during my visit to Washington to raise these points, it was indeed clear that the EU is not the problem, making today's measures even more unjustified. I argue to avoid the unnecessary burden of measures and countermeasures, but you need a partner for that. You need both hands to clap. The US administration has opted to pursue a harmful course of unjustified tariffs, leaving us with no choice but to respond, and that's exactly what we are doing. First, as of April, we will automatically reinstate our current suspended rebalancing measures from 2018 and 2020, effectively targeting 4.5 billion euros worth of US goods exported to us. And second, the Commission is taking decisive steps towards the package of additional countermeasures applying to 18 billion euros of US exports to the EU. Over the next 2 weeks, we will consult with the key stakeholders to help us shape this new package. The objective is to counterbalance the increased trade value affected by the US tariffs while minimizing the impact on European businesses and consumers. But the disruption caused by tariffs is avoidable if the US administration accepts our extended hand and works with us to strike a deal. So under the President's leadership, I'm ready to negotiate, and we are ready to make it happen.